Hi, everyone. This is Tina with another episode of Life in Stories. And today I have Joe Rosales, all the way from Bakersfield, California, who is a fitness expert. And let me tell you, when he said 5:30 in the morning, I almost panicked, and then I realized he's in California. So it went well. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing good, Tina. How are you this morning?
Good, 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 good. So I introduced you as a fitness expert, and we all need one these days. So
Okay.
tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what you do and how you came about it.
Yeah. I've been a personal trainer now for a little over 10 years. And yeah, and so I started off kind of like every trainer did. I started off at like a big gym. And then my goal was when I was just starting, like I want to train athletes. But of course, you start training a variety of clients. And I started training, I felt like people who actually really needed it. And I think that's where I kind of shifted my focus. I had a client that like touched me like my heart like never before. And I think that's when I realized I wanted to do something. She was type 2 diabetic. She was really overweight. And we trained together for about a year and a half, and she lost over 100 pounds. And then she would never get like emotional around me, but when I was leaving that position, she wrote me a big old card and basically said like how I saved her life. And I
Oh,
was like, oh man, I was like, this is what I want to do this for. And so I had my own little gym for a little bit, and then I shut it down when COVID hit, just because I wanted to go more online. And so now I'm an online coach and I train clients virtually.
great. No, that's awesome. And with Zoom, like, you're way far away from me. I'm in Florida, and with Zoom,
Yeah.
it's been great because you can do a lot on Zoom, including exercise classes, right?
Well, yeah, and we don't really do like I don't really do Zoom classes like to
Okay.
to to run a class. I usually mainly do we put together like video demonstrations, and then I do like check-ins,
Oh,
but it just allows for a different type of tracking. Like we have an app and everything that's used that people get access to so they can check in on like habits that they have to do and stuff like that.
oh, I like that. Yeah, we all like
Yeah,
technology, and we all have phones, so we don't need, share our
absolutely.
computer. Yeah, that's great. Now, so we chatted about our Smart Sense wellness life program. So if
Yeah.
you're home and and you can't get out, although we are open up here in Florida, but this will reach other states where people, either the weather is still cold, right, in a lot of
Hmm.
places, or you're homebound. What would be the best advice you can give to somebody who's homebound but still would love to start an exercise program or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I think a lot of people get caught up that if they're not at a gym that they can't get a good workout in, and that's really not true. I would say depending on how serious you are about working out at home, maybe order like a few things like maybe like some bands or a pull-up bar or like a set of those little adjustable ring straps. You can get them on Amazon now for like $30,
Okay.
and that's really all you would need. But even if not, one thing that we did, which is kind of cool, was when our gym was shut down, I started doing at-home workouts for all my clients. And a great substitute for weight is if you have like a backpack.
Oh,
You can
okay.
always
Yeah.
throw books or fill it with water or something of that nature, like bottles of water to make it heavier. Um,
Sure.
the biggest thing, though, I think I tell people is when you're working out at home, you just really have to I think the hardest part is getting going because, you can get a great workout in, but what I find is that people need to have a designated area in their home for workout because it's hard to do a workout in your living room where you usually watch Netflix. You don't associate your living room with, I'm going to get this great workout in right now. So I think tip number one would be try to find a spot in your house that you're specifically going to use to work out in, whether it be a small corner or if you have to move some things. That way, once you kind of walk into that space, it kind of shifts your mindset to like, okay, it's time to exercise. It's not time to sit down and watch TV.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I totally get that. And you definitely don't want to be doing it in your kitchen.
Right, right. Yeah, not in your kitchen, and probably not where you're most distracted. I would say try to find a little spot maybe that you can kind of convert as a 2-in-1 or something like that. And then if you have kids, then one thing we would always joke is we would make it a game with the kids when we were working out in here. And so we would pick up our little ones and do squats with them, and then like take off
Yeah.
running outside the neighborhood and then come back. But I mean, as long as you can do squats, push-ups, and sit-ups, and then some type of a pull movement, even if you just set up a backpack and you pull, you can get an amazing full body workout in.
Yeah, no, I totally can get that. And it's funny because we have a new rescue, and even just like, and he loves to run, even just like back and forth in my living room wears me out. He's
Yeah.
and my husband sits there and laughs, but even like, he's 5 years old, but he has so much energy. And so, walking him, he could walk for miles, I think. And
Oh, they're endless.
yeah, so even a pet, a dog, or and of course I've been gardening, so that that's definitely been getting me moving. And
Yeah.
resistance bands, are they still relatively
So I think like you kind of hit a good little a good little topic that I think that I try to tell a lot of my clients when they're at home is I'm like, I think with COVID now too, is people just aren't moving as much in general. So I try to make a point to tell people, we often downplay the importance of just walking or like getting out and doing things like, so, a lot of my clients, I tell them just to make sure, hey, set an alert on your watch, because it is easy to get, I feel like people are working more so now.
yeah.
And so, make an alert on your watch to try to go outside for a walk. And if like you can't get outside, then make a point to get away from your computer, maybe do some jumping jacks or just walk around the house while you're on a phone call, like get those steps in. I mean,
Yeah.
because that alone is, I mean, getting 10 to 12,000 steps in a day is a great way to start getting active and losing a little bit of weight. And people think I downplay that. They make it where exercise has to be this crazy thing when really it's just about moving more.
And something you enjoy. Like I was laughing because we're in a newer house, and I'm so used to like my stepson's what does he have, like Xbox, one of the where I can put like the CDs in. I'm like, wait,
Oh,
and
yeah,
now
yeah.
and I'm like, what do I do with all my tapes? Well, Fran, my husband, he's like, oh, trust me, there's going to be exercise classes that stream.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a ton. I think like I mean, I believe like, well, Peloton's taken off, but I mean, a lot of times people find stuff on YouTube and things like that. And I
Yeah.
just try and tell people the biggest thing is whatever you're doing, just try to do it consistently. I think like if you're always doing random things, you get random results.
Okay.
And so, just try to find something that's a schedule for you to stick with, and then ease into it, especially if this is a 30-day move challenge. I think don't overthink it, and start with something you can do. Don't make it so hard that you can't do it. And I think that's the step in the right direction.
No, I agree. And I was always going to like Zumba classes, which I loved. And
Yeah.
I love to dance, so I was trying to like do things that was related to that. I love riding our bike. We have an electric bike, but you don't have to use the motor. It's
Yeah,
pedals.
yeah.
Yep. So I can go far pedaling, and then I know I can get back if I run out of steam.
Well, then too, Tina, don't you think when you did the Zumba class, like that right there, that community aspect, like the other people, that makes it a little bit easier to go to class. And
Yes.
so, and I think, one thing is I think with people, if not being able to gather because of COVID, it might be good to find some type of online support or like an online community, because that's kind of a proven factor is when you have a social circle that's into the same thing as you are, you tend to be more successful at it.
And you have an online community, correct?
Correct. We
Yes.
do. We have a free Facebook group that we use. It's called Fit Mom Lose Fat Not Time, and our goal inside of that group is to really be a community for mainly women and trying to help answer a lot of questions and straighten them out on their path to losing weight, because there's just a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of salesy stuff when it comes to like, oh, buy this to lose weight or drink this shake to lose weight, and that's definitely the wrong approach.
It sure is.
There's
Yeah.
so much more to that. There's so much more than just a product or a supplement. It's definitely a lifestyle, and I think a lot of people are missing that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I get a little frustrated with all the stuff on the market and the quick fixes. And
Absolutely.
yep. And I get, like I said, we do have we do offer people obviously the CBD component, but I'm comfortable where that's natural and that's just helping your neurological system. It's not you're not going to lose weight on it, but it'll at least help you emotionally. But I'm comfortable with it, like I said, because it's just a hemp plant. But when you're talking
Right.
about all that stuff with, with chemicals and just a shake, and you're starving your body. You're not learning how to eat well at all.
No,
You know?
absolutely not. And I think what happens is what people don't realize is when they do those kind of crash diets,
Yeah.
they may lose a little bit of weight, but ultimately what's happening is their body is going to slow down and adjust. And once they get off that crash diet, they're going to be burning less calories than they were before. And they're going to put probably more, well, it's shown that people actually put more weight on
Yeah.
after crash weight diets. They end up coming out heavier than they were when they started it. After they go back to their normal way of eating. But I mean, you're right. And I think a lot of it starts with, one of the big things that we try to talk about is when it comes to working out is you got to do, there's a lot of steps before, like getting your body to work for you. So like sleeping enough is step number one. People don't sleep enough. And when you don't sleep enough, you tend to crave more carbohydrates and it makes you less sluggish. So you're more likely not going to work out. So you're kind of you're stacking the cards against you if you do that.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. And so that's, that's what, my focus is on. And I always tell everybody that, is interested, and especially those who come from the Kate side, is, hey, we need to get you sleeping first. We need to get,
Yes,
you healthy mindset. Because
absolutely.
if you're not in a healthy mindset and you're setting goals for yourself, it's going to be tough, to
Right.
complete them. So we definitely need to get people in a healthier mindset. And then, okay, then let's talk about your nutrition while you are, moving your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the approach. That's the similar approach we take to our coaching with our clients as well. We do what we call habit-based coaching. So we focus more on teaching people better habits, and then with better habits they'll get results. And I think that's what people miss. And so a lot of times we have to tell them, don't focus so much on the end result, but just on those little daily habits. Which
Yeah.
kind of brings me to a little tip is, I think especially for this 30-day challenge, one thing that we find that helps with our clients is, kind of gamifying your stats. So, if it's a 30-day move challenge, maybe set up a calendar, and then it becomes mentally gratifying every day you move and you scratch off that day. And then you
Yeah.
start seeing all those days add up. So it becomes something where you're like, oh man, I had that little streak going. I don't want to miss it. So that kind of motivates you a little bit and you feel like you're kind of getting a point. So I would suggest doing something like that, getting
Yeah.
maybe like a habit tracker on your app or on your phone, or using like a calendar or something of that. That definitely
Yeah.
will help for that 30-day challenge.
Yeah, I like that. And funny, so it started Wednesday, today's Friday. And yesterday I'm like, all right, I can't believe none of my ladies and gentlemen sent me, they have to send me proof of moving. And then here came Linda Blesser, who's an author, by the way. I did a podcast with her and she actually posted it. And I'm like, yeah, and guess what she got for a gift?
What she get?
A spin gym.
Oh, nice. That's a great gift.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Especially considering working out at home. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I bought a five of them, for the class, and so I thought, and she had no idea she was going to get, I go, this is what you
That's so
win, because
cool.
you were the first person to send me proof that you did something. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
I
so
love it.
I have all sorts of motivational factors because we're all motivated.
Mhm.
Last month when I was getting them to change their food habits, we had Amazon cards, we had shipped. You have shipped out in California the food delivery service.
Oh, there's quite a few like Daily
Yeah.
Harvest and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. So in here, it's like there's two of them shipped in Instacart. So, we gave out shipped like
Oh, okay. I
free.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So because I was teasing them, well, if you don't go to the grocery store, you won't buy the bad food. So here is
Mhm.
6-month membership.
So, what's so funny is I just started something like, I was like, man, I go, well, how else could I help my clients? I'm always trying to think of different ways. And
Yeah.
because I'm virtual now, I have so much more time. So there's a lot more things we can do. So one of the things I started doing with my clients is I go, I do what's called a grocery audit list. So I go 24 hours before you're going to go to the store, send me your grocery list and I'll look over it and make sure you have enough of the right foods. And then maybe make some suggestions on things maybe you shouldn't be getting. And so that way it feels like you're taking me to the store a little bit, because a lot of people, I think it starts there. And
Yes.
what I've noticed is some people either don't buy enough food. So what happens is they eat all their food within 2 or 3 days, and then they don't have enough to meal prep. So then they go out or they buy something that's fast, or they make a bad choice when they're not prepared. So I always try to tell people, preparing yourself is step one into being consistent.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of meal plan. I know the ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen are tired of hearing me say it, but it works. It
Yeah,
works.
it does. And and I think one thing is if I always try and tell people start small. So, if you weren't cooking at all, maybe make it a goal to just make, one big meal, and it could be in a crock pot or something that's not too challenging. But then to making just better choices. Like one of the things I like, one of my favorite things to tell my clients is to go to is, those roasted chickens, like those whole chickens you can get.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're like 5, 6. I mean, in California, they're like $5, $6,
Yeah,
maybe
that's it.
$7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and right there, it's a great source of protein, and it's going to last you more than one meal. Whereas, if you went to Jack in the Box or something, and you're going to spend $8 on something that's going to just wreck your diet, so that's always a better option. And not only that, but now they have salad kits. I mean, there's so much out there. So for even someone who isn't really willing to put in the work, there is some healthier options
Yeah.
out there. I think, just ask if you're not sure. That's my best advice. It's just ask.
Yeah. I'm laughing when you said Jack in the Box. So I haven't seen one in years since I used to travel in Alabama.
Oh my gosh,
I
Tina,
thought they
they're
were gone.
everywhere. They're everywhere here. They're everywhere here. Yeah, we get Bakersfield is. I think we're one of. I think we're top two when it comes to cities. That's like worst in health or something like that. And so our we get test marketed from fast food companies all the time. So we had like a fancy Jack in the Box that was called the JBX grill. Yes, it was like the fancy version. So that's something that we're not. You can drive out here in Bakersfield and find a fast food restaurant every 3 minutes.
That's funny. Yeah. I've haven't been to California in over 10 years, but I loved it. I went with my son, and my cousin lives in Palm Desert. So we have an RV, so we'll make it out there. But yeah, and that's another thing is that so when friend and I travel in an RV, and I love it because we are getting outside and we're kayaking and we're biking and we're walking, and so we're blessed because we have great weather, but still, I mean, even in the winter, skiing or cross country or just walking, just
Yes.
even walking.
And
If
that's
you,
the great thing. We have a lot of nice little trails that aren't too far from here,
yeah.
so it's easy to kind of get away. But yeah, our biggest thing is we kind of would like to retire somewhere where it's a little more naturey, so we could get outside more, because it's a little tough to get out here in Bakersfield, especially during the summer when
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
105 every day.
yeah. I remember. Yeah, I went to college in New Mexico, so I do remember that heat. I mean, I used
Ugh.
to say it's dry heat, and I don't know what's worse.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what's
I'll
worse.
take dry heat.
Yeah, dry heat. I
Hmm.
I remember being in El Paso, Texas, and going. It was like 104, and I'm telling my girlfriends concentrate on the breeze, and they're like, "What breeze?" but you just have to hydrate more. When it's hot. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing now too, is make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Especially if you're starting off anything. A lot of people don't get nearly enough water intake. And sometimes what you're feeling, maybe hunger, is actually your body telling you to drink something.
Yeah, yeah, I say that, I repeat that all the time. And I always mention, the best advice my brother Mike gave me just literally off the fly. He goes, don't eat when you're not hungry,
Right.
and we talk about that a lot in the beginning about how food is equated to love, and food is, some people, and depending on the generation, my generation, you ate 3 meals a day and you couldn't leave the table as a kid without your, plate being emptied. So society in itself set us up to have this idea that we have to overeat, and
Right.
we really don't.
Well,
I
and I think too, it's like I feel like every year there's a new diet. I
Yeah,
mean, now it's like, carbs are bad. And remember, it was fats are bad. And then,
yeah,
it's constantly shifting. And then eggs are bad. Oh no, wait, eggs are good for you. It's just everything is like, oh, you know what? Don't drink coffee. It causes cancer. I mean, there's just like there's all these things that come out that are never really backed. And I think that's one thing I try to tell my clients is that, it is any study you find is going to be very, very varied, no matter how scientific it is, because there's just too many variables with humans. I mean, we can't lock a human up for a year and a half and just feed them one type of food to figure out what it does to their body. It's so there's just so many things to determine, and so a lot of times I always just tell people, whatever diet works for you is the best diet. That's the best advice I can tell you. If eating keto works for you, then it's the best diet for you.
yeah. I will say though, I'm not a fan of sugar anymore. I do,
Mhm.
yeah. I do think that they're completely correct. Well, of course, they don't say it very much, that that we don't need all the processed sugar, in our food.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I think that's good. And especially dealing with what you talk about is because I know they say studies have shown when you eat those types of processed sugars,
yeah.
it's the same as like an opiate,
Yes,
like what opiates do to your brain. It's very addicting.
it is, and it's hidden in food, purposely.
Hmm.
That's and I caution people that they have to read studies because a lot of times they're funded by food corporations. And
Yes,
so you have to
absolutely.
know, yeah, you have to know what you're reading and to look behind and look at the author and where and Google that author and really what, people would be surprised. So that, eggs are bad and, fats are bad and they're not, but what is bad is the amount of sugar that people eat and what's in our food. I mean, I'm always saying you have to read the label. And the old
Right.
the old adage, right? If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it, don't buy it. And don't buy it.
And I think it's crazy to think that, and that's the is like with sugar, right? As I try and tell people, I go, there's processed sugar and then there's like natural sugars.
Yeah.
People are like, can I eat a banana? Aren't they bad for you? And I'm like, why would a banana be bad for you? It's a fruit, but I think like anything, like I tell people I try to get away from, and that's one thing I tell people, I go, no, I don't really say there's good and bad foods. I think there's foods you should eat more of and foods you shouldn't eat that much of.
Yeah.
And processed carbs are foods you shouldn't eat that much of, and because I think food labeling creates a lot of stigmas around people. And so we try to avoid that. But the biggest thing is I try to say, eat more of these kinds of foods. And then slowly we start trying to take out the bad foods. As we add more food into their diet, we try to take out the foods that aren't as good for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I was saying last month, stay out of the pantry unless there's chicken in there.
Right, right. And so
There's
I
nothing
think in
good in
our
your pantry.
no, not at all. And that's where I throw all the sweets and treats because I like, and I think be aware of things and it's okay. But I know for me, my trigger food is cookies, and so I can't have them in sight. So
Yeah.
if the kids have a little bit of cookies for them, they have to be in the pantry so they're out of sight, out of mind. Because if
Yeah.
they're out there, it's a matter of time before I grab one. So
Yep.
and
Yep.
then
It's true.
that creates a whole spiral. So I'm just like, no, I know cookies don't do me justice, so I try to avoid them.
Yeah, you have the same thought pattern I do because we go through a whole exercise of, purging your pantry. And if you live with somebody like I do who eats, lots of junk and
Mhm.
Fran has his pantry and I have mine.
Yeah, there.
I don't want to look
You
in
don't even want to look at the other one.
yeah, you'll have to look on my Instagram maybe a month, you'll see. And then I forgot to take a picture of the chest freezer, which is not bad, but I'm like food hoarder much, and I've got the pantry. I have the refrigerator that's full. I have my pantry that's full, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot the chest freezer. I'm like, why do we have all this food?
You never know. You never know. I know we're looking at getting one of those big freezers now too, because we have to buy so much meat, and so
Yes.
it's just a little bit easier to store.
Yeah, but now
Yeah, no, I agree.
I have a garden and I go along and graze and I eat every day. I can pick my cherry tomato. I just eat
That's
them.
awesome.
I have my cilantro and parsley and dill and lettuce is growing and spinach and kale and radishes and I've got 6 hens, so I'm all set.
Oh man, Tina, you're all set.
I
I
am. I
wish.
love it.
I wish I had that set up. Those
Yeah, we
eggs. Oh,
purposely did
that,
that. I purposely did this, purposely wanted this house that we live now and turning its point just under half an acre, but our house is on in our RV and some outbuildings, but I purposely like, you know what, I'm going to walk outside my door and be able to have lunch.
that's awesome. And you know what's funny is I had someone who had chickens or hens, and I tried farm like fresh eggs, and
Yeah.
let me tell you, oh my, they're the best.
Difference, right?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely,
Yep. Yeah, when they're
absolutely.
fed like free range and they're not fed junk. Yeah, I always I use the word richer because I don't know how else to articulate it, but
I agree.
right? Like a bolder, whatever the word is. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
it
Oh,
is.
I
It's
love them.
very what the difference is because you would think that it wouldn't be, but it is what we feed
And
them.
like the yolk even looks like it's just a yellow, and then when you look
Brighter.
at the one from the stores, it doesn't, like the ones from the stores look like they're radiating, and they're like, God, this just doesn't seem normal now,
Yeah, yeah. So I enjoy that. And we now we have six, and now I've got plenty of eggs, and My Airbnb people, they get fresh eggs if they want it. So it's nice. And then the garden is in full mode. And it's our first, I almost said semester because I'm in finishing my master of our first season.
You're on
And
semester.
I know, like almost said semester. First season. So, and then it gives me exercise because, I'm a menopausal woman and I'm struggling right now with a lot of things to do with my hormonal changes. And,
Right.
and I have been eating so well, but you know what? Is any weight coming off? Hardly any. And I know it's just, I need to move because I'm sitting in a computer almost like all day long. All of the
Absolutely.
work I
Yeah.
do is in front of a desk. So I'm making that conscious effort to get up, and walk Toby or go out to the garden, or, I clean our Airbnb myself, just cause so I'm moving.
That's great. Yeah, move more. I always tell people you want to either eat less and move more. Those
Yeah.
are kind of the two options when it
Yeah,
comes to it.
that's
So
all we
yeah,
got.
that's all you got. Doesn't have
Yeah.
to be much more complicated than that. But you don't want to eat too little. We don't
No.
want you eating 1,000 calories a day, nothing crazy like that.
Yeah, no, gosh, that would, brain fog. But anyway, so Joe, so you, the name of your business, tell me what it is again. TR3, is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can see it on my hat here.
Oh,
It's a little
okay.
bent, but it's
Sorry. I
it's
don't have my
okay.
glasses
No,
on.
don't even worry about it. It's TR3 Fitness. And the reason why we abbreviated that is we were kind of trying to think of what we were wanting to do, and it's the TR3 stands for train right, train routinely, and train remotely. And so that's why we did the TR3. And so that
Yeah,
was
I
our
like
whole
it.
idea with it. And so yeah, so it's tr3fitness.com. And
Okay.
and feel free to check us out, especially if you're looking at getting a little more specific help. We do deal with, it's only one-on-one coaching. And so go to the website and you could always book a call with either me or my wife.
Awesome. And then you have the Facebook group.
Yes, and then we have the free Facebook group as well, and that's called Fit Mom Lose Fat Not Time. And then my name is Joseph Rosales. If you look me up, you'll find the group there too. So just shoot me a message and let me know you heard the podcast, and I'll get you added. I get a lot of people now that send me messages trying to get me to buy their program and invest in how they can get me 1 million followers or something, and it's overwhelming some days.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yes, it's nonstop,
Yeah, I
but
think organic is the way to go sometimes, but you never know. I'm not sure. You and I are kind of new into like figuring that whole thing out. But,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And and if anything, I wanted to just say is I think if kind of harp back a little bit is with your at home move challenge. If you guys are looking to exercise, and my best advice is at least 2 days a week, try to hit a full body workout. And a full body workout could be, a squat movement, something with your legs, and then a press movement, and then some type of pull. And you can kind of cycle all three of those and do, I would say, at least 20 to 30 minutes of meaningful movement, and do one at the end of the week. I wouldn't stack them, but 2 full body days goes a long ways. And so that's kind of a great way to combine your workouts, is trying to think of those 3 sets, those 3 body parts that move, press, and pull, and try to do those movements, and you'll get a good little workout in.
No, I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for.
No problem.
I'm not gonna say for getting up early, because apparently you do every day, you say.
Yeah, this is normal for me too. So don't feel bad at all. I was like, okay, this probably works. Plus the kids are still asleep. You don't hear any crying babies in the background. So
Yeah, and my dog was actually nice. I was so worried about Toby starting to bark because but anyways, but yeah, thank you, Joe Rosales, and I'll put all your links. You're gonna send me your links, and everybody, you'll find them down here by the time I post. And yeah, enjoy your day, and thank you so much for your expertise and your time with us. And this is Tina McGlynn with another episode of Life and Stories. Catch me next time. Thanks everybody for listening.
Bye guys.